Whether we like to think about it or not, preparing for the apocalypse, 12/21/12, Mayan calendar, end of the world, whatever we might associate with the apocalypse, but it is the year of 2012, and a lot of people are preparing for this alleged event, 12/21/12. Some people are going as far as building bunkers, uh, adding generators to those bunkers, having MREs to sustain life for several years. People are buying gas masks. People are buying guns. People are buying ammunition. People are buying flashlights. The list goes on, and it's not necessarily an act of paranoia, in my opinion. I do feel that it's intelligent for everyone to prepare for an upcoming event that may or may not happen. Hopefully, it won't. I'm not trying to be a doomsayer and say that the end of the world's coming and you know freak everybody out. Those aren't my intentions. But what I do, and this is just my personal preparations for the uncertain event 12/21/12. One thing that I'm doing from an investing perspective, I'm taking a lot of gold and silver that was in a larger bar. So, for example, kilos and larger, taking a lot of those, selling those, and replacing with either 1 ounce versions or fractional ounce versions. And the reason being is that if the apocalypse does occur, one thing is going to be inevitable, and that's that the society as a whole is going to be in a state of panic. Paper dollars are pretty much already worthless, but they'll even be more worthless when and if this event occurs. Not to say that gold, silver, copper, etc. are a safe haven, but when and if this event occurs, it will likely be easier for someone to barter using those precious metals as opposed to using a paper dollar or something like that to try to buy stuff. Because if a horrible event does occur, and I hope it doesn't, but if it does, there's going to be a big focus on food and water, shelter, just the basics for survival, and it could be pretty nasty. And like I said, I hope none of this happens. So that's one thing I'm doing from an investing perspective. I'm getting rid of those larger pieces of precious metals and replacing with 1 ounce and fractional versions. Aside from that, another thing is to think about MREs. Now, I personally have not purchased any MREs yet, but it's probably a good idea to go ahead and purchase some of those, because as we get closer to the date, the supplies will be more limited, the prices will go higher, and it's probably good to get in now. Bottled water is a good idea. Several months prior to 12/21/12, I plan to buy several cases of bottled water, because who knows, if something did happen and it polluted our safe drinking water, one has to have water to survive. So that's an essential. Also, ammunition. I mean, what if we're invaded by aliens? I mean, not to say it's going to happen, but if it did, I mean, it's I doubt that our guns would do much damage. But even with that being said, I think it's a good idea to really stockpile some ammunition while it's available. One good way to do it is to get what they refer to as the spam cans, and those are just the big sealed metal cans that contain an abundance of ammunition, and they're somewhat airtight, and you just open them with a can opener. So it's good to, whatever guns you might own, just to have some spam cans full of ammo. Of course, keep them in the can so the ammo stays good and fresh, but have that just in case. Flashlights. Do you need flashlights? Well, you probably do. You probably need batteries for them too. Stock up on batteries now, so that when and if the apocalypse occurs, you've got plenty of batteries to keep your flashlights going. And also the obvious items like charcoal for cooking. Power goes out, you're not going to be able to cook in your unless you're using a gas stove. But what if your gas goes out too? You need some form of for cooking. Are you a gardener? If so, go ahead get those seeds and have everything stockpiled, because a self-sufficient lifestyle might become a necessity. So some other items of concern are warmth. I mean, if it ever gets cold again, I mean, it hasn't really gotten cold this winter, but if it does, you'll probably need some sleeping bags and that kind of stuff, because if power goes out, you got to stay warm. Let's see, what else? I mean, there's just so much stuff. I mean, one can take this 12-21-12 to the extreme and buy all this stuff that's likely not going to be needed, or one can prepare and at least have supplies that, even if nothing happens on 12-21-12, at least you've got a surplus of supplies you can use just during normal life. So other than that, I mean, really, and of course the obvious, I mean, if something does happen, your vehicles are probably going to be useless, because gas will probably be unable to be purchased. So that's I think vehicles would be a thing of the past if this does occur. So have some bicycles and stuff. You need to get around. Have an alternate mode of transportation. What else? That's about it. I mean, I'm going to be prepared. Probably not anywhere nearly as prepared as a lot of people, but I mean, I'm not going to go into this blindly and say, oh, nothing's going to happen. Hopefully, nothing will happen. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a doomsayer here, freak everybody out. But those are just my opinions. And thanks for tuning in, and I welcome any feedback you might have. Also, feel free to check out my other videos on YouTube. Have a good one.